because we know that we're doing this virtually, and that you usually, if we are in person, we would have a breakfast. But this year, in lieu of a breakfast, we will be issuing $10 gift cards to Pete's Coffee to everyone who attended. So after the breakfast, you'll hear from us, and you'll get that gift card, and you'll be able to enjoy a coffee and a pastry. So we hope that will satisfy some folks. And pizza's my go-to for coffee, so I hope you enjoy it. And I also wanted to lift up our sponsors for this year. We really can't do it without them. Each year we reach out to our sponsors to support our annual events, and this year they really came through. So we just wanted to lift them up and say thank you. And without further ado, I would like to begin with a grounding. So we're going to be doing the land acknowledgements, which will be led by our executive director, Gloria Bruce, who's going to share a few words about why we do this and why it's important to us as an organization. So Gloria. You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Kiki. Sorry, I was like, I can't unmute myself. I'm so sorry. I'm so happy to be with you all this morning. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for welcoming us in. Thank all of you for being here, this gathering where we are going to join together in hope, joy, and healing. Now, if you've attended one of our events over the last year in this online format, you know that we now have a practice of acknowledging the land on which we gather, even as we are gathering together apart. As we are promoting housing justice and especially healing this morning, one piece of that is acknowledging Indigenous people as the stewards of the land on which we live and build. The East Bay is the unceded territory of the Lisjan Ohlone people. And so while we work to bring everyone home and make everyone safe and loved, we at the same time recognize and name the histories of displacement of the communities that existed here before and those that still exist. We uplift the work of our Ohlone neighbors to create spaces of belonging. EBHO has contributed to Shumi, a voluntary land tax that supports the work of the Sogorea Land Trust, which returns Ohlone land to Ohlone people. We encourage our members and partners to do the same. Thank you for taking this moment with us this morning for reflection and honoring of the land and its people.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for that grounding. So I want to talk a little bit about the theme. We're going to hear a little bit more about it from our Faith and Justice Committee member, Dave Angelillo, shortly, but I wanted to give a few remarks about why hope and healing has been the theme of the year. So we've all been at home because of COVID, and there's been a lot going on in the world, especially in the world of housing justice. And we wanted to spread like a positive light on our accomplishments, on our community work, and what we've been able to do collectively through our organizations and committee work. So we thought that a hope and healing would provide a sense of camaraderie, a sense of community among us, and to keep our eye on the prize that though times are tough, we're doing a lot of work, we're balancing different things, that there's still room for hope and there's still room for us to heal from the traumas of the world. So I hope that this will resonate with all of you as we move along in our day. But without further ado, I wanted to introduce a very good friend of mine who's been doing our opening prayer. Her name is Minister Sherry Murphy, and I'm going to share a little bit about her before I bring her on. So for nearly 3 decades, Minister Sherry has worked on developing strategies with organizations and coalitions to address injustices in vulnerable communities. She is a national trainer and has been a guest speaker on Netroots Nation, one of the largest annual conferences for progressive political activists and leaders. Minister Sherry has shared numerous opinions, research, and work on local and major media networks such as PBS, NPR, Democracy Now!, the New York Times, Washington Post, and MarketWatch. Recently, she was nationally recognized for her outstanding leadership and contribution to low-wage workers' rights movements in the US and globally. She grew up in Virginia and was raised in the Black prophetic tradition. She holds a Master of Divinity degree from Graduate Theological Union BST and hopes to complete her doctorate in public theology in the future. She is also a proud member and licensed practitioner at Heart and Soul Center of Light, and she has been described as a good troublemaker. So that's exciting. So without further ado, I would love to hand it over to Minister Sherry Murphy for our opening prayer.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Ronnie. Good morning, everyone. It is indeed my pleasure and honor to open this up in prayer. And so I'll just invite each and every one to allow yourself to find your breath just in this moment of time, being fully present to this moment, allowing yourself just to anchor in the precious space and time of right now. And as we focus on our breath, let us allow it to be a symbol which speaks to the essence of one life, the source of hope, healing, and joy, the source of all life. Just breathe on us. The one with whom we live and move and have our being, the one who abides and loves us despite the color of one's skin, sexual orientation, or housing situation. I call this divine source my comforter. In this moment of disruption of the status quo, the divine shifter. And like the great ancestor, it is the North Star which provides light leading to the promised land of righteous thinking. It is my Sophia, divine intelligence, as it beckons me to practice faith, to remember that I'm not merely a bystander or spectator or onlooker of my conditions, that in every moment I get to say yes. And so since everything, born, seen, and beyond the veil is part of this creation, there is nothing that will separate us from this love that goes by many names, the one I should call God. Nothing, not death, condemnation, racism, 6-foot distancing, gloves, virtual rooms. There is nothing other than an interconnection that abides with each and every one. So it's from this deep place of knowing that I speak on behalf of EBHO, Faith Breakfast, for hope, healing, and joy. That right now I am declaring this program is a blessing. That on this day for hope, we will be reminded of the greatest antidote of all, the resilience of joy. that through song, prayer, words spoken collectively, it will remind us of our worth and it releases anything that says otherwise. So as our elder used to say, let the healing begin where the wound was made, declaring that this moment is an invitation for new life, regardless of what circumstances we find ourselves in. That neither sickness nor death will tempt us in forgetting that in God, there is life unending. And so we declare a blessing for all who participate in this program, in this virtual room and beyond, allowing this transformation to discern that which is good, that which is acceptable for the highest and best of all. That a commission of spiritual maturity in times like these has made itself visible. That we are not alone during this time of great transition. So I declare that despair should not tempt us in forgetting the antidote of peace, hope, healing, and joy. So I'm in thanksgiving. I will continue praising and thanking the living one for all that it has done. I'm giving thanks that through collective power of one body, one mind, and joy will make itself visible this morning. That hope is not a wishful thought. So we give thanks for the magnification of our Creator. We give thanks for how love is going to show up for us this morning. We give thanks for the living word. We give thanks for embracing change as we embrace this newness collectively. I give thanks for the opening of my heart, which allows me to see God in each and everything. And I'm giving thanks for the service as an opportunity to allow each breath to be in praise. So I remember that giving thanks also is revolutionary. So knowing that this word will not come back void, I will release this prayer by saying amen, ashe, and so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful opening and offering and grounding. My name's Kiki Poe. I'm Buddhist, but that message resonates so deeply. So thank you so much for that and bringing that to the space. I am here because I have the honor to introduce David Angelillo, who is a dear friend of mine. We've been friends for some years, and it's through our Buddhist practice that we met. And he's going to share some information on centering this theme of hope and healing, but a little bit of background about who David is. He's an Oakland resident. He's been retired since 2007 after 31 years of service as manager at AC Transit. He has been a volunteer as a cook at the Center for AIDS Services in Oakland for many years, and as a cook at the Salvation Army mission in Oakland. He's been practicing Buddhism in the lay Buddhist organization, the Soka Gakkai of America, since 1986. He was staff at the Buddhist Oakland Center from 2010 to 2016, and he's been a volunteer leader within the organization for 35 years. And now he's going to share a little bit about his experience with EBHO, the Faith and Justice Committee, and the theme of hope and healing. One second, Dave. Are you able to? There we go.
Okay, here we go. Thank you again, Minister Sherry, for those opening words. And I'm honored to speak today on behalf of the Interfaith Committee. I joined EBHO in 2019, due in large part to a friend and fellow Buddhist, Kiki Po. I had participated in the group she had gathered to provide essential supplies to a homeless encampment in Oakland. This encouraged me to join the interfaith group of EBHO. After a few meetings of the interfaith group, the pandemic took place and we have been Zooming ever since. In spite of the pandemic, we were able to hold a successful dinner interfaith event titled Iftar Under the Stars at a homeless encampment in East Oakland in the past year, a very rewarding experience. I admit that I'm a person that likes to get things done, and advocacy is a whole new experience for me. Although in my Buddhist practice, we have an absolute belief that we can attain world peace through interactions with individuals one-on-one, recognizing that every person has the unlimited potential to attain enlightenment. It is a movement to awaken the Buddha nature within our own lives and those of others. It is a far-reaching and never-ending endeavor to elevate the state of all humankind to Buddhahood. And just as advocacy doesn't produce results overnight, our philosophy is similar, but we have absolute conviction and hope that our actions will provide positive results in the future. And there has been progress. In the policies set down by the Oakland City Council, regarding the homeless communities and in the awareness of homelessness all throughout California. They are developing a more humanistic approach when dealing with the homeless community. I believe in large part due to advocacy groups like EBHO and other nonprofits with common goals of fair, equitable, and affordable housing for all. Speaking out at city council meetings, attending meetings, and advocating behind the scenes does make a difference. I recently had the opportunity to meet with Richard Vallier, Alameda County Supervisor of District 2 and current president of the board, and was encouraged by future changes he suggested in the way of different police agencies dealing with the mental issues of our society, including homeless individuals, changes at the county jail, and how 911 calls will be handled both in Berkeley and Oakland municipalities, and potentially benefit all individuals that may have mental health concerns. They have partnered with Bonita House in Berkeley as a community assessment and transport team. As a member of the interfaith group, I believe I can speak for all that the belief in the power of prayer is an essential part of our efforts. Whatever our faith, whether we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, recite the Our Father, praise Allah, Lord Krishna, giving blessings to the Torah, whatever our prayer may be. Quoting our president of our lay organization, Daisaku Ikeda, quote, "There are many elements involved in a prayer being answered, but the important thing is to keep praying until it is. By continuing to pray, you can reflect on yourself with unflinching honesty and begin to move your life in a positive direction on the path of earnest, steady effort. Even if your prayer doesn't produce concrete results immediately, your continual prayer will at some time manifest itself in a form greater than you had ever hoped. Prayer gives us the hope that our lofty goals will be accomplished and that the future will bring a world where there is absolute respect for all life, a land where in a land where everyone has a right for adequate and affordable housing, a day where homeless encampments will no longer exist. I will continue to pray and take whatever action I can to make this a reality in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you providing your perspectives on the theme and like our accomplishments and putting your spin on it. It was really great to listen to. So I just really appreciate what you've added to the breakfast today. So I want to move us along. I'm really excited about this next guest. So our musical entertainment today is the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. And joining us from the Interfaith Gospel Choir is their artistic director, Terrence Kelly. I'm going to do a little intro on Terrence so you know how wonderful he is. And then we're going to listen to some songs and bring him on screen and have a conversation. But about Terrence. Terrence has been called everything from a man of great passion and conviction to a demanding taskmaker to an absolute musical genius. And to prove them all, he has garnered extensive credentials in both gospel and jazz music. His operative range and jubilant emotion make him a popular soloist, as well as an accomplished director, composer, and arranger. His credits include choral arrangements on albums by Linda Ronstadt, who I love, and Kronos Quartet, and gospel arrangements of popular music for TV and video soundtracks. In addition, he wrote and arranged most of the music on each of the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir albums. Terrence has received an Emmy Award in 1995 for his choral arrangement of Interfaith Gospel Choir's KGO TV public service announcement. And in 2005, he received a Local Heroes Award from KQED television for his directorship of the Oakland Interfaith Youth Choir, who was also honored at the Gospel Music Awards. Terrence currently serves as Minister of Magnification at Oakland's Amani Community Church. He has traveled as far as Australia and Israel teaching gospel music, and since 1982 has served as gospel choir director for Jazz Camp West, hosted by Living Jazz. In addition to his other endeavors, he is a semi-regular member of the San Francisco Opera Chorus. His father, the late Ade Kelly, was an esteemed jazz and gospel pianist. His mother, the late Faye Kelly, was a gospel choir and director and pianist. So there's a legacy there that we learn about. So, forgive me. I would love it if we could cue up the first song, and then we'll bring Terrence on. Oh, perfect. To have a conversation.
Ready for that
was so wonderful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, wow. All the things you said about me. I'm just old, I guess. When you started out, you said he's been called everything. I was like, oh.
All positive things. All positive.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me and Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir here today. It's so exciting to be with you guys since our missions are so in line, huh?
Yes.
So we have another song coming up, but did you have any questions for me this morning about Oakland Interfaith? You know, we are 35 years old with 24 faiths represented within the choir. Actually, anybody who wants to sing gospel music can come sing with us. The last take we had somebody that put up their faith was baseball. Huh?
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm curious, how would you arrange something like that song? Because like they're all on separate screens, but they're all in unison. Like, how do you make that happen?
I do nothing like that. We have a
Okay.
wonderful team. We have a wonderful tech team of people that come together to do it. We have two directors that are staff, managers that are staff, and then we have some volunteers that gather and then they ship it to the two that put it all together. And that song right there actually is a Negro spiritual, which I'm big on, because all music that comes out of these Americas stand on the shoulders of Negro spirituals and work songs, unless it's indigenous people's music. So this, I learned it as a little boy. My Lord, getting us ready for that great day. My Lord, getting us ready for that great day. Who shall be able to stand? So that's the way I learned it, but we wanted to put some clapping behind it. Yeah.
Yes. It worked.
Thank you.
All right, so let's cue up the next song.
The next song is a Negro spiritual I first heard arranged for chorus when Moses Hogan came here. And the moment I heard it, I said, we are going to sing this song. And it speaks to marginalized people, whoever you are.
Okay. Oh, that was beautiful. I'm reading some comments in the chat. So moving, this one brings tears. Sounds that heal. These acapella chords giving me chills right now. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So you were saying how this song is like for marginalized people. Was that what you were saying? Okay. So kind of like a rallying cry or like solace, like how would you describe it? You're on mute. I don't know if we can get you off mute.
There we go. All right. Yes, it's a cry from the heart of the slave, as the song was written. But as we move forward into 2022, it can still be sung by marginalized people. Oh Lord, please hear my prayer. And the last line says, when you come to take me home, and I hear you say, well done, no, have mercy, we will sing our sorrow. And so that song, now a lot of young people sing it like, just to know I'm bound for glory, and to hear you say, well done. So they bring it more into the current tonal qualities and all of those things. So I honor that, and I hope that people continue to sing spirituals and learn a couple and take them to whatever club or whatever church or whatever party you go sing at, sing a spiritual. So this one is just one of my favorites for choir because it's so haunting and it speaks to the walk of a slave, seeking hope, in the midst of the trials of today. So there's the message, seeking hope in the midst of the trials of today. So the next one is from the youth choir, is Rise Up. We actually had a chance to work with Andra Day a little bit. She is as marvelous as she is beautiful and talented. So we got to, she got to hear our kids sing it and give them her approbation. And they were just like, oh my God. So this is, you've heard it, right? What do you think?
Yes, it's one of my favorite songs. When I first heard it, I was like, this needs to be an anthem. Like we need to play this at like every action we do, every event. But yeah, it's a song that like fills my heart with spirit. Yeah. So I hope we can cue up that song right now and take a listen.
It's a charge to everyone that listens to it.
You're broken down and tired of living life in a merry-go-round. You can't find the fighter that I see you. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you.
Yes.
Yes, that's our youth choir. They are 12 to 17 years old. If you have grandkids, kids, brothers and sisters that age, send them to us. We take great care of them. Our kids graduate and go on to great colleges. We have kids at Hampton, Howard, Cookman, Bethune, right now, New York Institute, Sacramento State. So our kids graduate at a rate in Oakland of about 99%. So, and they go to great universities. So send them to us. We take care of them. I'm pretty mean, but I'm awful nice. So any questions on that one, Ronnie?
I am curious about the collaboration with Andra Day. Like, did you all reach out to her? And
Well,
say,
the
like,
adult choir did a project with her,
okay.
and with a large corporation. And
Okay.
we sang background for her. And then I asked her when we were working on it, could our youth choir use it? And she was like, yeah, man, I like the way you did this, and go ahead. And so she came on camera just enough to talk to them, and they were like freaking out because it was her on camera. So that's how we got it. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So our last song is one I wrote walking around in a personal pity party attended by one. How many have had that?
Yes.
My car was broke and I didn't have the money to get it fixed. I scrambled up the money to get it fixed, and I went to the car dealership to get it. Guess what? It wasn't ready. So I had to catch the bus from 12th and Broadway all the way to 58th and East 14th. And you know, at 5:30, all the buses were passing me up because they were full. So I was just walking and I was mad, and I saw people. I saw a person in the doorway. I saw a person eating out the garbage can. I saw somebody in a wheelchair. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe your little car problem isn't so big. So that song came out of that pity party. So it just says, give glory to God. However you acknowledge God, and just give glory and honor to God. Okay. In all things.
Beautiful. All right, let's take a listen.
Yeah, so it's become a choir favorite because it just speaks to so many situations. So glory song, Lord, I praise your name. And we, and each soloist, somebody says, how can all these faiths be in a gospel choir? Each soloist is able to sing to their own tradition, but
Okay.
we are a gospel choir by what we sing. We are interfaith by who we are, and we sing gospel music from the black and spirituals music traditions. And but we stretch that a little bit because we bump all the way up to kind of or a rock and roll kind of gospel, and we go all the way over to Ave Maria. So, we have a wide range of songs. So thank you so much for having us. We have a Christmas concert coming up in December. You can
Yes.
check us out at oigc.org. We're actually doing a World Choir project. Anybody that wants to sing with us on the World Choir project, go to oigc.org. It's not too late. You have until the 30th. You can actually sing with us on our Christmas concert. We're going to have about 100 people singing Joy to the World. So all you have to do is log on, register, learn your part, and upload it. And then you'll be in that video.
Beautiful, Terrence. I thank you so much for joining us today and providing your insights and sharing with us. This has been such a blessing.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Yes.
can't wait to continue the partnership. I love you guys already. This is awesome.
Perfect. Just so you all know, we're gonna have a couple more songs later in the program. So stay tuned for that. We love to share music with you all. But yes, that just lifted my spirits. I feel so happy.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So now we're going to transition, and we're going to hear from our keynote speaker, who is Sally Hindman from Youth Spirit Artworks. We're really fortunate to have Sally come and share with us this morning, to center her comments on hope and healing and the work that she's been doing with her organization. But before we bring Sally on, I'll just give you a little bit of background of who she is. She has been involved in interfaith social justice ministry, working with homeless and other marginalized youth and adults for the last 25 years. She's committed to working in solidarity with those on the margins, empowering people to make their voices heard through systemic change. And she believes strongly in the power of art to serve as a vehicle for personal healing and transformation, as well as a tool for teaching people about their gifts and strengths as they grow and develop vocationally. So without further ado, Sally, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's an utter pleasure to be here this morning with so many friends and folks that have all known each other for a long time. Just a total blessing. Just to see all the familiar faces. And I am here today with our new interfaith organizer, Reginald Gentry. I'm wondering if Reginald could just wave his hand. And so you guys should give a big shout out to Reginald. He's absolutely amazing. He's been working as the vice president of our board and has been a youth leader with YSA for 6 years. So it's just such a thrill to have Reginald join our staff now. And he's going to be working with EVHO and all the faith community in our organizing as part of our 100 Homes for Homeless Youth campaign. At Youth Spirit Artworks, it is not about the adults, right? It is not about the adults. So if I talk for very long and don't turn it over to Reginald, you'll know that adultism is in the room and that work is needed to stop that. We're about our youth and their voice, not the adult voices. But it's a pleasure to be here. I we're here to share about the hope and the healing that was brought together by the interfaith religious community through the incredible struggles of the pandemic in Youth Spirit Artworks project, creating our tiny house empowerment village. And as you may know, this was a community effort, and we learned, if we learned nothing else, we learned that it takes a village to build a village. And this was a, you know, everybody, we had 3,000 volunteers involved in our project, and just so many people played roles, small and large, that it's just an amazing story about what the faith community can do, what the interfaith community can do when we all roll up our sleeves through surrendering to God and Spirit, as we call out to Spirit to create justice. And I just want to be sure to say that, I have a long time history as a Quaker minister. My family is Jewish, and so we're very involved in the Jewish community locally, and and everything that I do, my work, I'm just struggling with white supremacy, and go each day repledge to do the work to create justice and work on my savior issues and my white fragility. So just committed. So that's where I'm coming from. I've been a house person, so my experiences sleeping out on the street have always been in doing civil disobedience. And they haven't been as an unsheltered person, and that's just always so important to keep a hold of. So as our friends know, in 2016, a whole group of youth and adult allies gathered at Youth Spirit Artworks to see what the generative themes were for the young people that were at that time predominantly that winter had come to us through our day shelter that we were holding. We were open 70 hours a week at that time, serving young people that were out on the streets during the El Nino rains. And the thing that we found was that that youth started talking when we shared with them, when we dialogued about what the themes were for people that they might want to organize around. People immediately raised that they just were so exhausted from sleeping on the floor of Yay Shelter, with all the love that was at Yay and the incredible intention and gorgeous work that folks there were doing. Youth, because of the lack of permanent supportive housing, were just feeling completely exhausted, and their energy, they were really describing their energy as being just zapped, and they were feeling a lot of despair from not getting able to be in permanent supportive housing and in housing. And so from the conversations that we had, we clarified, youth expressed excitement about wanting to build a tiny house, and that a tiny house, if they could have their own houses, that really would be something that could be make all the difference for them. And so we just surrendering, those of us involved, people from the faith community that just are grounded in our surrendering to Spirit, just decided to follow the vision of youth. And so we embarked on this journey of going with them to follow what they wanted to do and where they were led around creating housing. And so as allies, we ended up first working with them to design a tiny house prototype, and then to build a tiny house. And then they decided they wanted to build this tiny house village. So we began the process of working with them to identify a space where we could, build a tiny house village. And I think the thing that was so amazing is that no matter what we all ran into in following our youth, we just became really clear that, you know, because God's love is unstoppable, we were going to be unstoppable too. And so we ran into these terrible problems in Berkeley with, you know, with NIMBYism, not being able to find a space where people would take us. And but we found that we had these congregations that wanted to support us and wanted to be in solidarity with our young people. And so even in the lowest moments, you know, when we were really discouraged from our experience in West Berkeley, Congregation Bethel appeared on the scene, and Rabbi Stern, you know, came forward and said, well, we want to commit to working with the youth for 2 years on a project and following what they want to do and supporting you all. And then First Church Berkeley was involved just right from the beginning. It stayed involved, and Reverend Molly, you know, would go with our youth to meetings in Berkeley, and even, you know, brought her daughter. And so just we continued on through, you know, just knowing and feeling the deep support of you know, what we call in my tradition, we might call spirit or the light or God, and in others, you know, Allah, etc., and other names. And so in our experience, we ended up, just as our youth were out in the community and sharing and visiting congregations and going to council meetings to push for this tiny house village, we just gained a lot of momentum. And we ended up, by the time we, you know, got to Oakland and decided to try to, you know, see if Oakland would be open to our group, we were able to involve 45 congregations, 45 interfaith congregations in the work. And we ended up by the time, I mean, this was, you know, just in my tradition, you know, a fool for Christ, a fool for the Lord is the only way you can describe it. We started to build these tiny houses in multiples, and we ended up building them in 3 different locations. We were over on Brush Street for a while because of Balsey gave us a space over there. We built at least 8, probably 12 houses behind Youth Spirit Artworks. And then finally, Oakland gave us 2 acres of land, again, just inspired by our youth and all of their going to meetings with council people, diverse, you know, meetings with council people. And so we ended up with 2 acres of land over by the Oakland Coliseum. And even then, the young people decided they wanted to create a mural park at the tiny house village. And so they've created, they gathered designs, they created guidelines, gathered designs, they solicited artists for murals, and they created this youth mural park with over 150 youth-made murals. And then they did this process where they had people from the religious community paint prayer and blessings on a fence. We saved $80,000 by our youth painting prayers, having people paint prayers and blessings on the fence surrounding the whole tiny house village. So the village is surrounded by prayers and blessings from the interfaith religious community, more than 500 prayers and blessings. And then they also, the youth wanted to have a youth graffiti mural. So they involved another 50 of their friends, youth graffiti artists, in painting graffiti murals at the tiny house village. So then they did that. But our process ended up taking a total of really, by the time it was done, 6 years. We worked all through the pandemic and never stopped. We worked, and in the height of the pandemic, our volunteers were working 24 hours a week, you know, giving up everything else that they were doing. But it was really all just deep faith and surrender. We didn't have any money. We were really begging anywhere we could for money, and we ended up being able to raise, again, you know, in this case, from our privilege partly, and our friends in the encampments haven't had these privileges. We were able to raise, you know, $1.3 million from just a million different sources that came forth with just our openness and our youth, expressing their dream and their vision. So we opened the village April 2nd. Our residents started moving in February 17th. And so now we have this first East Bay, Oakland, Berkeley, tiny house village, legal village, that can be a model for, the encampments, being able to build tiny house villages, and as a means of it, getting people into emergency shelter. And we just feel so deeply grateful to the religious community, to the interfaith religious community, just for everything that people did for us. The congregational church, we had women making quilts for all of our residents. We had congregations, Temple Sinai and other congregations decorated and adopted tiny houses. Just so many things that were done just in this spirit of what can we do to be deep allies, really committed deep allies with youth. And people going to meetings till 11 o'clock at night who had just horribly sore backs and themselves were just struggling, but they wanted to be there for our young people. And so what we really learned is that these projects, these responses need to be led by the people being served. And I think there's a tendency for those of us who have privilege to want to jump out and use our power. And instead, it's so fundamental that that the work be led by the people being served. And so our continued commitment is to do everything we can so that our project that what was able to become a legal tiny house village is able to be a model and really serve people in the encampments and others who haven't been able to legally be able to create villages yet. But there's just so much potential if we can all work together. And I'm just so grateful for others who gathered us this morning and contextualized. And just Terrence Kelly and Minister Sherry Murphy. But I hope you guys will all come out to the tiny house village and see just how beautiful it is and what our love in action can do. So I want to turn it over to Reginald Gentry to share.
Okay, there we go. Hey everybody, this is my first EBHO meeting. Again, my name is Reginald Gentry. I'm the new interfaith organizer, which is a staff position at YSA, and I've been with YSA for 6 years. I'm the former social media leader, which is a youth participant position, and former vice president of the board. So Sally pretty much went over the timeline and did a great job, so I just have a couple of things to mention. So we hold these interfaith leader meetings on Zoom once a month on Thursdays afternoons. And we just have, members from local congregations come in and just organize with us and strategize in ways which they can contribute to our youth, our youth tiny house village in Oakland, or other ways in which they can just contribute to the organization as a whole, such as what Sally mentioned with the Adopt a Tiny House. They would come and either take the tiny house to their congregation and decorate it interior wise with, quilts and whatever have you, or they would just come to the tiny house village in Oakland and do the same thing. And we also have so we train our youth at YSA in 7 different vocational pathways, one of which is the community organizing pathway, which Sally and I are a part of. And starting next week on Wednesday, starting at 6:45 p.m., we're going to be talking on Zoom as well as in person in ways in which we can include more interfaith congregations and just interfaith individual members and see how they can help us with further developing our 100 Homes for 100 youth campaign, which is what the Tiny House Empowerment Village is a part of. That was just phase 1 of the whole campaign. We're still trying to, collaborate with other colleges and whatever other entities on creating more tiny house villages, either us helping them physically or just consulting. For example, we've been talking with Cal State East Bay for months now, consulting them on how they can create their own tiny house village for their students who are experiencing housing insecurities. Yeah, and I hope to get to know more of you as time goes on. As I said, I'm the new interfaith organizer. I just got the position a couple weeks ago, so I'm still going through the ringer and meeting, rabbis and pastors and everybody, and then attending these meetings to just, get in the loop on what you guys are planning and everything. Is there anything else important to mention, Sally, that you want to talk about?
Well, we're very excited to work with EBHO, and just we're so grateful for EBHO's support at the very beginning of our work, and just having us at congregations sharing about our vision for the tiny house village at a time when we had made very little progress as yet. And so EBHO really had faith that our youth could do it, that we could do this. And so we've just been very, very grateful to EBHO.
Yeah, and thank you for having us. And one more thing I'll mention, just some things that I think that make the Tiny House and Primal Village project unique is how it's youth-led, in which Sally already talked about when we started it in 2016. And it's been, it's youth-initiated and it's youth-led. Another thing that makes it unique is just the vast amount of artwork that are on the tiny houses, the ground, the prayers and blessings mural fence that's surrounding the entire perimeter of the village in Oakland. I keep saying in Oakland. And then also just like the amount of volunteer support we've gotten over the years is just insane. Sally mentioned we've gotten the support of 45 congregations from the Bay Area, but we've also, that's equated to over 3,000 volunteers who have helped us in many ways, such as either making financial contributions, advocating for us at city council meetings, sharing about our project through word of mouth or on social media, helping with the construction at the village or at our studio or at Brush Street. And just so many ways you guys and so many other volunteers have helped us, and we just really appreciate it. And we're hoping to continue, finishing the village. We have a couple projects we're still working on at the village, such as creating this straw bale welcome center / storage space. We're also trying to build a new platform for our second bathroom trailer, which is on the way, and a couple other things. But we just really appreciate all the support from the interfaith community in the Bay Area. And there's a number of ways to get involved. Every Saturday, we still have those tiny house and primal village build days, volunteer build days, from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And two of the tasks are the things I just mentioned, with helping with the straw bale welcome center, as well as helping construct the second bathroom trailers platform. And then we always appreciate the social media sharing and the advocacy at city council meetings or whatever other meetings you guys attend. And if you guys would like to follow us or to check out photos and see what everything looks like, you can either go to our website at youthspiritartworks.org. I'll put everything in the chat too. Our Instagram handle is Youth Spirit Artwork without the S. Our Twitter is at Youth Spirit Arts. And our Facebook is Youth Spirit Artwork. So I'll put all that in the chat, don't worry. But there's a number of ways to get involved if any of you are interested in helping us with the projects, because even though we finished it and opened it up, had the grand opening in April, and we had the residents moving on February. In February, we still have a number of things we're still doing. So thank you all for having us, and I hope to attend more of these meetings.
Thank you so much, Sally and Reginald. It was really great to hear your remarks, and hearing what's been going on with Youth Spirit Artworks is really exciting work that you all are doing. So thank you. I appreciate your time today. So we're gonna move right along. We are gonna be honoring a couple of our Faith and Justice Committee members. So as you all may know, EBHO has a Faith and Justice Committee, which I run. We meet once a month on Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. And this is where a lot of our faith-rooted organizing work happens. And we're honoring 2 of our members today who have done exceptional work throughout the year. And I wanted to lift them up. First, I'm going to read off some bios so you can get a feel for who they are as people and who they are as organizers. So the first person we're going to be honoring is Rabia Kubel. She has been a social justice activist in Oakland for the past 9 years, but was active in the women's movement and civil rights movement as a teen and young adult. Rabia began her involvement locally with the Occupy movement right out of graduate school at GTU, and continued her work with local activists during the upsurge in police violence, beginning with Oscar Grant. It was hearing his uncle speak at her school that inspired her to do more. So she joined BLM and Interfaith for Black Lives and went on to be involved in many actions from that point on. Only recently curtailing her involvement in street protests to focus on the women's mosque she started in 2017. She began her connection to EBHO just prior to 2017 when Reverend James Lawson was involved. This longtime friend and former pastor of hers was an inspiration that kept her wanting to pursue faith level involvement. She was also part of the Poor People's Movement, and Rabia's passion is in faith and social justice. So she was asked to co-chair the Nobel nominated Faith and Justice Committee for the American Friends for Combatants for Peace, a group connected to Combatants for Peace that is located in Palestine. She has dedicated herself to EBHO's Faith and Justice group for the last three years and remains an active and involved member, creating Iftar After Dark, an attempt to bring justice to the streets, to the unhoused, and to bring dignity to the unhoused through faith work. Rabia also performs nikas or marriage ceremonies for interfaith and same-sex Muslim couples who other faith leaders would not perform a wedding for. So we see that Rabia is a very dynamic person, and I specifically wanted to lift up her work with Iftar Under the Stars, which was a really great event that we did last year, where we went to a homeless encampment and fed people and gave them goods and share together in fellowship. And I think it was because of Rabia's leadership on that we were able to get that done. So I'm gonna turn it over to Rabia to give some remarks regarding her being honored. So yeah, Rabia, the floor is yours.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And I'm really very grateful to be honored in this way by an organization that I think so highly of. I've worked with some really great people at EBHO, and it just inspires me to do better every day, actually. And I want to thank everyone that's contributed to this gathering, the music, the stories, and the work that everybody's putting in. I'm very appreciative. And I stand on your shoulders with this. But I start with this. As we were all talking here, I thought of this passage from the Bible. And Jesus said unto them, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And this is a reference to, I believe, the fact that Jesus himself was unhoused for a great part of his ministry, calling no place home, but calling every place home. Everyone, this comes from the Quran, and it's a surah. It says everyone should put justice first, even before their families. If anyone does evil or wrongs his own soul, but afterwards seeks God's forgiveness, he will find him and will be most forgiving and most merciful, because God is merciful to those who seek forgiveness. I started out as an activist during the sit-ins for the Vietnam War and the post-1968 Civil Rights Movement. I was raised in the midst of missionary Baptist tradition, and as an adult began my own journey of finding my religious and faith path. I converted to Islam in 2004 and found that Islam has always been a religion that sought to protect those who are on the margins of society. After 25 years of working as a public health nurse in the Bay Area, I decided to focus on furthering my education and entered into chaplaincy training at the Chaplaincy Institute of Berkeley. I went from there to the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley at Starr King, where I received my graduate degree in religious leadership and social change. I also have a certificate in Islamic Studies and Black Church. I began to get more involved in Occupy at the time, segueing into fighting against police violence against Black bodies. I committed myself to being present, marching, protesting, and speaking. I joined BLM, Interfaith for Black Lives, and organized with many others during this time. I worked with GRIP in Richmond and got involved with EPHO many years ago when one of my mentors and friends, Phil Lawson, was active. I re-entered the sphere of EPHO again, perhaps 3 years ago, and have been active ever since. I have a heart for the homeless because I am acutely aware of how we are all one paycheck or one crisis away from homelessness. As a child, we were often homeless and depended on the kindness of relatives and others to keep us housed in a difficult time. One of my favorite outreaches was my idea to commune with the homeless during the month of Ramadan, where we break the fast, and it was called Iftar Under the Stars, which Ronnie just mentioned. I am appreciative of EPHO's embracing this project and idea. And we had a very successful gathering at one of the local organized encampments this past Ramadan. I am honored to be recognized for my work and commitment, for my consistent work with people of other faiths to bring focus on the conditions of the unhoused and to find ways through activism and legislation to address it. As a person of faith and sin critic in my practice, though a Muslim, I remain committed and working diligently to address these issues. Recently, I became a congressional liaison to Congresswoman Barbara Lee's office. It is my intention to use my voice to keep these issues up front and present to those who have the power to do something to foment the change we so badly need. I am grateful to the ancestors, to the indigenous ancestors, and to all those of faith who have worked hard to keep this world a better place. And I thank EPHO for the beautiful gifts that I receive. And I thank you all for being my friend, for being my mentors, and for being my support this entire time.
Thank you, Rabia. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to share a bit about our other member, Jessica Sterling, who is also being highlighted today. So a bit about Jessica. She is deeply rooted in our East Bay Jewish and interfaith communities. She currently serves as Interfaith Relations Consultant at Jewish Community Relations Council, which serves the Greater Bay Area. Since 2012, Jessica has taken on several roles at JCRC, which give her a unique view of the organization and broad network in the faith community. focusing on interfaith relations. She has joined 5 regional councils, an Interfaith Speakers Bureau, and the Faith and Justice Committee within EBHO. While serving on the Faith and Justice Committee, Jessica has met with elected representatives to advocate for housing justice and worked in partnership with committee members as well as faith and lay leadership to create educational programming and community events that support our unhoused residents. So I'm gonna also allow Jessica to make a few remarks and to acknowledge her being honored. So take it away, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you for this honor, for recognizing the work, for these beautiful flowers which I received, and for the opportunity to work together towards a common goal. It's been about 6 years that I've sat on EBHO's Faith and Justice Committee. I've seen the membership change through the years, and I value the partnerships that I've formed. Through attending monthly committee meetings and programs, I've learned so much more about housing insecurity that too many in this county face. I feel that for every societal issue, it takes members from the wide community to join together and work toward a just solution. We work together toward a plan that involves input from all, because the outcome affects the whole community. I joined the housing crisis solution from a place of faith. My Jewish faith guides my actions, and I try to do what's right and what is just. In my faith tradition, I practice tikkun olam, which is repair the world. But it can also be translated as healing the world. And the world that we live in is far from perfect. And there's work for all levels in the community, from the youngest to the most senior, and the tasks range in scale from the simplest to the most complex. I began my journey here by just showing up. So it's very easy to start. And I welcome anyone and everyone to start with just showing up. Due to the pandemic, many in our community are facing losses, jobs, loved ones, secure housing, and the list is long. The Faith and Justice Committee works from the heart and uses faith as our guide. There's much healing for us, and to come through this time, we do need to work together. There's always going to be a need for healing, and there will always be work toward housing justice. May we have strength to continue the necessary work to see all members in the community housed. Thank you so much.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's always great to hear from our members. And I've really enjoyed working with both you and Rabia. It's always a joy every month to share our ideas and come up with action plans. So I'm really, really happy about that. Next we're going to be doing a membership pitch. So I'm gonna kick it over to Kiki Poe.
Let's see, unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Just very quick, because we are running a little bit behind here. You know, I was really moved by everything, the music, Reverend Sherry's words of saying that this space in itself is a blessing. Doing this work, you know, the world is rough. There's a lot of rough stuff happening. We see it in the news, we see it on our social media, we see it in our personal lives, we're experiencing it in various ways. I think we're all looking for a little bit of hope and healing. Doing this work and seeing everyone come together on a Thursday morning, some of us struggling to get that coffee, to get our tea, but to be here, to be present, and is an offering, right? And that in itself gives me hope. And so I know someone was asking like, how do I get involved? How do I get to join the Faith and Justice Committee? And so that means you become a member. We have various levels of membership. We're gonna plug, thank you so much, Grover. We're gonna plug in the chat so you can look on our website to see how to join, how to renew for the coming year. You know, this work doesn't move without you. This event today came together because of the Faith and Justice Committee and a lot of work and a lot of time that we put in. And of course, all of the staff doing all the movements behind, but it's our commitment to the work. And so that gives me hope. And I hope that through that, you know, I'm moved and activated to do the work in my everyday life, right? And so that means we come together. I think it's no question it takes a village for us to make this move. So I hope that if you have not renewed, please do so. If you have questions about your membership, reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat, fully available to hear your suggestions. Let's get you here because we want you at the table. We want to hear from you. We want you to be a part of this collective movement together with us. We've been doing this for 35 years now, not me personally, but EBHO. And we hope to keep moving, right? And that means all of us together doing this work. So thank you so much for being here. Let's finish out 2021 strong. Let's get all of you that are in here, the whole 63 of us, let's all bring our voices to the table so we can create even more change for the future that we want to see. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to Ronnie.
Fantastic. Now that you all are excited about becoming members, yes, I want to transition us to our workshop portion of the morning. So we are very much interested in hearing from you about your ideas around faith